So, breaking news: Black Lives Matter founder, chapter founder from Rhode Island, is saying that Donald Trump is the best candidate. You want to hear it? He was on Kim Iversen, and let's watch.
Because everybody else sucks.
And she asked him, why do you think Donald Trump's the best candidate? And he just said, because everybody else sucks. Donald Trump, cream of the crop of this year's presidential campaign field. That's according to Black Lives Matter chapter founder. Here we go.
Is he just the best of a bad group? I mean, is he not that great either, but he's just like better than the rest?
Well, I like Trump, personally. And I think right now who we have sitting in the Oval Office is just a deep disappointment. I deeply have disdain for him. And I really dislike the vice president as well.
What is it that how
that sounds very racist?
Yeah, right.
That's very I don't know why you had to bring a vice president in. Everyone knows she's a woman of color. So now this guy is a racist and he's a sexist and a misogynist. So I hope this is bad.
Why do you not like them versus like Donald Trump? I would imagine you're alone in this. Do you feel alone in this viewpoint in the world that you're in, being in the BLM movement?
No, I feel like the tide is starting to turn. I feel like
really?
A lot of Black people are starting to pivot off of that Democratic plantation for so long. We've been slaves to that party. Actually, we've been mental slaves, afraid to get off of that plantation because, we've been used and abused for so long at that party. They don't value our vote. Their policies are basically racist policies. And I believe it's a racist party that strikes at the heart of the Black family and the nuclear family in general. And I believe Donald Trump he's the opposite. He's going to tell you how it is. He's going to give it to you straight. He's not going to, be a hypocrite and stab you in the back like the Democratic Party loves to do.
There's definitely, that has kind of been one of the big complaints, I think, in some of the Black community. We're starting to see that tide shift, as you mentioned, where people are starting to say, well, what have you done for me? Right? Like you keep saying, we have to vote for you. We have to vote for you. It's an existential crisis if we don't vote Democrat. But then what? Then what do we get? Just kind of use that. And in fact, even this coming election, Joe Biden, the very first primary that the Democrats plan to have is in South Carolina. They're going to do it there because that's the one he won. And they thought, well, Joe Biden does well with the Black vote. Why do you think he does better with the Black vote? This is where it gets kind of,
well, let me just remind people that as they call Donald Trump a white supremacist, and people believe that half the country is white supremacists, because that's what people believe.
Well, they do, yeah.
They do believe that. Donald Trump's numbers went up to 22% of Black people now say they're going to vote for Donald Trump. So are they also white supremacists? Those are the worst white supremacists, by the way, the Black ones.
Why do you think he does well compared to, like, Bernie Sanders didn't do as well in that part of the country compared to Joe Biden?
Well, I think the reason why Joe Biden does better is the lesser of two evils. When you look at someone like a Joe Biden or you look at someone like a Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, he's very good at playing the role. He's very good at being a politician. And I forget the gentleman from South Carolina that endorsed him that turned his whole fate around. And that was
Clyburn,
the beginning.
right?
So,
James Clyburn.
James Clyburn.
Is that who it was? Yeah.
Yep. And so, we looked at him and we looked at everyone else in the field and we decided, okay, well, he sat under Obama. He plays ball, and that's our, that's our principles and that's our values. That's what we do. We go to the lesser of two evils, and we felt like, okay, well, it was either that. And I believe at that time, we didn't know too much about Trump, but, we've learned a lot more about him since 2020 and since 2016. And when you look at the overall body of work, Trump has done more for the Black community than any president I can think of in my lifetime. And, Biden has done nothing.
Like what exactly did Trump do?
Well, I know for what was that act that Trump did that released black people from prison? Do you guys remember?
First Step.
They did the First Step Act. Joe Biden, on the other hand, did the crime bill, which is why black and brown people are locked up at much higher rates than white people.
Right.
And he brags
that's why you needed
about
the First Step Act. Right.
And that's why, the reason why we needed Trump to do the First Step Act was because of Joe Biden. And I had to impress upon that on Cornel West when he came on my show, and he acted like he didn't know that either. Thank God I'm not as dumb as a Harvard professor. I will see you the day after Thanksgiving at Flappers Comedy Club in Burbank. Come see our stand-up comedy. Go to jimmydore.com.
Well, he gave millions and millions of dollars to HBCUs. I forget the exact amount, where before we'd had to come back every year to get renewed. Right. He extended it for every 10 years. He's like, why do you have to keep coming back to get money? And then he did the First Step, where he allowed, it was a big hit on recidivism, where black people who were getting arrested would come out and they'd have the ability to not only come out early, but be able to get involved into the economics of the country and, the Platinum Plan. And just a lot of things, that he did that goes under the radar. And you look at the rappers, they all support him. And, it's the best kept. Yeah, you look at people like, Waka Flame just came on the internet. You got Lil Wayne, you got Kodak Black, you got Ice Cube, you got Kanye. It's like it's no big secret anymore. The media wants to put on the raps.
I did not know that. Were the two Jews aware that the black rappers were supporting Donald Trump? Waka 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 waka.
I did hear about. I heard about Waka Waka Waka.
That should be his VP.
I'm all for it. I would vote for
Waka Flame.
How do you not vote for Waka 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 waka?
Yeah, who could vote against that?
Or as Steph was introduced at Governors of Levittown. Steph Zabarara.
Yeah. Whereas Democrats, you don't feel like they've done anything for you or your community.
No, I believe they've hurt our community.
Hurt the community. Yeah. Why do you think they're even? So yeah, that's worse than doing nothing. Why do you think? Right. In what ways?
Well, the Democrats introduced abortion. Democrats are for these, different, unnatural, policies that.
Well, I would point to the crime bill and Joe Biden. That would be the first thing I would point to. I would point to Bill Clinton hollowing out the welfare rolls as he then and exploded the prison population, gave us 100,000 more cops on the beat, and then he deregulated Wall Street. Which who do you think that hurt when that crashed the economy, which was predicted to? And who do you think got hurt the worst? Black and brown people during that Wall Street crash that was engineered by Bill Clinton. Okay,
go against laws of nature, go against laws of procreation. And, I'm not here to judge anybody or to hate on anybody. I'm just telling you what's beneficial and what's not for my community. And the Democratic Party is not. They go against, capitalist ideas. We want to create wealth. We want to gain wealth, do something for our children. We have faith. We believe in God. We love God, very deeply faith in our community. And, family oriented principles of education, making money, all of these things.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you tell people in your community and in the Black Lives Matter movement that you have now endorsed Trump, that he's your guy, what kind of reaction do you get?
You can guess.
Are most of them really upset and say, how dare you? Or some of them like, hey, actually, I'm kind of considering it too?
Most of them are not, because like I said, the media and the government, and they do a great job of keeping us divided, and that's my main talking point. That's my main goal and objective, is to overcome the narrative that the media creates by creating my own narrative. And I find that people are just as desperate as I am to improve race relations, to bring the races together. They just don't know how. And it's because the media, it goes against everything the media stands for. Their narrative, their bottom line is based and thrives on us being at each other's throats, us being at odds. If we don't do that, what do they have? Nothing.
Wow. So let me bring in the two Jews. And what's your reaction?
Sounds like a self-hating Jew to me. That's what that guy sounds like.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, what you said earlier while the video was playing, you talked about the hollowing out of economic institutions under Democratic rule. And then he talks, he wades into a lot of the social conservatism that is actually widely felt amongst African Americans. This is something that liberals find uncomfortable to talk about, but actually a minority of African Americans consider themselves liberals. They tend to be more religious. They tend to be more family oriented. And as economic institutions collapse around you, it makes sense that you would invest in other institutions, such as the nuclear family, which is what he is talking about there. And so it's really not a surprise to me that as so many of our political and economic institutions just hollow out, that people would look to family as their sort of rock. And to the extent that the Republican Party is perceived as more pro-family, which in his mind they are, I'm not rendering a judgment on that. I'm not saying he's right about that, but he's certainly making a case, and that's the way he feels. And so it's really not surprising that he would be more sympathetic to Trump this time than Biden, because as he said, what has the Democratic Party done for us that would lead us to believe in anything else but ourselves and our families?
So no, I remember, before we get to you, Russ, I remember when Donald Trump won in 2016, the New York Times actually did a little journalism, and they went to barbershops in Milwaukee and in the black and brown neighborhoods in Milwaukee. And what the African Americans said to the New York Times reporter is that we voted for Barack Obama twice, and then nothing happened. Nothing happened for us. And so none of those people they interviewed voted for Hillary Clinton. They voted for third-party people. A couple of them voted for themselves. They wrote in their own name. They weren't going to vote for Hillary Clinton because they remembered that they put everybody, their brothers and sisters, in jail. And then they voted for a black guy who was a Democrat who did absolutely nothing for them. Wouldn't even get him clean water in Flint, Michigan. So go ahead, Russ.
Well, what you're seeing here is the same process that Thomas Frank described happened with the white working class with the Democrats. He talks about how when he wrote What's the Matter with Kansas, a lot of the Democratic establishment just denied that what he was describing was happening, that the Democrats were losing their working class base.
Yes.
The same thing is happening here. The polls have been telling you for a long time. I remember even back in 2016, there was a poll that surprised a lot of people that blacks under 30 already, about 50%, didn't identify with the Democratic Party. So if you were paying attention, this has been a long time coming. And once again, their reaction is the same as it was with the white working class. They're going to deny that it's happening. This is not happening. They've been denying it all these years. And now you're actually seeing it manifest. And there's very good reason for that. I would recommend Michelle Alexander's article. It's an oldie but a goodie. Why Hillary Clinton doesn't deserve the black vote. And it gets into blow by blow what the Democrats did to destroy that community. Bill Clinton announced his campaign for president at the birthplace of the KKK at a prison located there, Stone Mountain, I believe it's called. There's a phalanx of black prisoners behind him. And just in case the iconography didn't sink in, he's posed with Cooter from Dukes of Hazzard, who was a congressman at the time. And I said, in the darkest days of the battles with the Hillbots in 2016, I would throw down the gauntlet because there's a picture of that included with Alexander's article. And I would say, if you can give me a non-racist explanation for this picture, I'm a man of my word. I will vote for Hillary Clinton. Not one of them ever took me up on that.
Well, I think Bill Clinton was just aping the campaign strategy of Ronald Reagan, who announced his campaign in, I believe, Philadelphia, Mississippi. And
you're not going to out race bait me.
That's right. And I can't remember the significance of Philadelphia, Mississippi, but it had definitely to do with the KKK or white supremacy or something like that. It was definitely do with
Reagan announced his candidacy at Bob Jones University, which which did not allow interracial
That's
dating.
it. That's it. Okay, thanks for correcting me. That's it. What is that in Philadelphia, Mississippi? Why does that stand out to me? That Philadelphia, Mississippi. Anyway, but it does.
I'm not sure.
So there it is. Black Lives Matter founder giving it to you. 22%. Last I checked, it was 22% of black voters said they were going to vote for Donald Trump. But they're going to keep calling him a white supremacist, and they're going to keep telling shit libs that your enemy is your neighbor who votes for Donald Trump. That's not your enemy. Your enemy is the establishment that makes people like this so desperate that they would vote for a guy like Donald Trump. That's your enemy. Your enemy is the establishment and the oligarchy that makes people desperate enough to vote for people like Donald Trump. And that's that. Hey, we're doing stand-up comedy in Covina, California, Burbank, California, the day after Thanksgiving, Oxnard, California, Venice, California, Palmdale, California, lots of places in the Southland. Omaha, Nebraska. We're going to be in Omaha. We're going to be in Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. Plus, we're going to be in Boston, the Wilbur Theater in Boston. See you there.